I don't know who's responsible for midnight broadcast, but for the first time ever, they didn't put their episode up last night. And I've been watching it for a while. For a while. Their show drops at midnight. Was no show at midnight. The last show, this one, was so weird. I mean, I don't even know how they have a. I don't even know how they had an episode like that. I'm tempted to examine it right now. I failed from. I'm tempted.
Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
This is the best synchronized show I've ever seen. If you're a little bit psychic, a little bit crazy, and not yet asleep, this is the best show.
Go ahead.
For the past week and a half, I've been watching the house of some family friends while they've been out of town. It's a smallish house in a good neighborhood, and though there have been break-ins in the past, they have mostly been to cars parked on the street. These incidents have been few and far between, and have been nothing more than petty thefts. The house I am watching has 3 dogs, 2 of which are large, but would be worthless in some kind of home invasion situation. It is a pretty easy job, and along with watering plants and letting the dogs out 2 or 3 times a day, I also have to stay at the house every night. Since I'm in college, I really need any money I can get, and this is a pretty easy gig. The dogs are pretty relaxed, but if they sense anything outside, they lose their minds and bark until I check it out. If the doorbell rings, it's as if hell has just come to earth, and they claw at the door barking their heads off. But other than that, everything has been going well without a hitch until a few nights back. Sorry for the backstory, but I feel it is necessary in order to explain why what is happening is so out of the ordinary. As I continue this story, I will label each event as Night 1, Night 2, etc., starting with the night strange things started occurring. Night 1. A few nights back, I came back to this house straight from work. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and after showering, I laid down and started watching some TV. At roughly 11:40, the dogs began barking at the front windows which face the street, which is always a little startling when this happens at night. I thought it might be some cars or people on a late night walk, but the street ends in a cul-de-sac, so I decided to take a look since there shouldn't be any traffic on the street this late. Luckily, it was just a possum lurking around, so I shut the blinds and laid back down. I continued watching TV.
This was also the setup of where I had to go. So I had this in my mind. I was like, is this ends in a cul-de-sac? Abandoned house? Job?
When some weird shit happened. The doorbell rang. Just some ding-dong ditchers, right? Well, I went to the front hall and was a little nervous to open the door, so I looked out the side window. Nobody. I told myself it was probably friends of the kid who actually lives here, so I laid down and continued watching TV. 5 minutes pass. Ding. Night 1 continued. I get up again, check the door just to find nobody there once again. This happens 2 more times, about 5 minutes apart. Nothing there each time. At this point, I'm more pissed than scared, so this time I wait by the window. I wait so that I cannot be seen, but have clear view of the doorbell. I wait a few minutes and watch the door, and as I am about to get up, it happens. The doorbell rings. It's a single high-pitched ding, but nobody was at the door. I am both confused and a bit horrified. How the hell did it ring when it wasn't clicked and I was staring at the front door the entire time? I get up and open the front door and take a few steps outside. Nothing. I see nothing. I hear nothing. I lock the doors and walk back to the room I was watching TV. As I sit back down, a strange thought comes to mind. Where are the dogs? And why haven't they barked one time at the bell? Night 1 continued. I flip every light switch I see as I begin looking for the dogs. I finally find them in the parents' room, all lying in their dog beds. I am relieved they are all fine, but I don't know why they didn't react to a single bell ring. Even stranger was that all of them were clearly awake as one came up to me as I entered the room and gave me its usual brainlessly happy look. I made one of the larger dogs come with me, and I finally was able to get sleep. I awoke in the morning and let the dogs out along with my regular morning house duties. I went out the front door to go get the newspaper. They didn't cancel it for some reason. And when I came back to the door, I looked at the doorbell. Nothing was wrong with it. And when I pressed it, it worked perfectly. But there was something different.
What?
When I pressed the doorbell, it was profoundly louder and had 2 chimes instead of the single, more faint chime of the one I kept hearing the night before. I tried pressing it in different ways, trying to recreate the same single chime I heard, but it just wouldn't happen. I gave up and decided to head out to work, and would just hope things would be different that night. Well, I got my wish. That night was different, but not in the way I was hoping. Night 2. After work, I got back to the house and decided to watch some TV before bed, as I tend to do most nights. I had almost forgotten about the events of the previous night, but then I was quickly given a reminder. At a few minutes past midnight, the doorbell rang again. One single chime, nothing else. The dogs were silent in the other room, and so I decided to just turn up the TV volume and ignore it. About 5 minutes later, the bell rang again. I continued to ignore it and just sat there. Then something changed. The bell started to ring again, but in shorter intervals. By the 6th ring, I decided to get up and see what the hell was really going on. I searched the rooms leading to the kitchen, and then came across something really strange. All the dogs were sitting, staring at the back door, just sitting there, as if awaiting for someone they knew to walk in the door. At this point, the family was not due back for over a week, so I stood there in terror and watched, waiting for something to appear at the door. Night 2 continued. I continued standing, fixed in place for at least another 5 minutes. This whole time, no bell. There was dead silence except for the sound of cicadas outside. I finally built up the courage to approach the door and see if there was anything outside. Back door layout is pictured, this time with the lights on. My heart slowly stopped racing, and I looked out the window by the door to make sure nobody was out there. But why would the dogs be staring out the back door? I opened the door, turned on the porch light, and tried to convince the dogs to go outside. I had just let them out no longer than 40 minutes before, so I knew they had no business to be outside.
Had no business.
I ushered them to go, but they just sat in place, unmoving. Come on, go out! But they just sat there, giving me their stupid blank stares. I looked around from the back porch one last time, and went back inside. I locked the door and laid back down. At some point I finally fell asleep, still wondering where the bell was coming from, and who was messing with me. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. Night 3.
I don't know what that could be.
I didn't have work the next day, so after I fed the dogs, I went back to my house and stayed there until about 9 that night. Up to this point, I still hadn't told anybody about the bell ringing at night. I just assumed they would think I was overreacting. But this night changed everything. As I pulled into the driveway, I immediately noticed something different. The door to their back garage was slightly ajar, and it definitely wasn't that way when I left that morning. I have this pictured above, but I didn't even consider checking it until the next morning. The lawn care guy wasn't supposed to come for another 2 days, and even then, I doubt he would have needed anything from the garage tool room. So how the hell was this open? It was not only closed when I left, but I know for a fact that it was locked. One of the dogs had pawed at it a couple days before, and when I tried to open it, it was clearly locked, and I didn't know where the key was. I closed the gate to the driveway and bolted to the back door. As I approached the door, I noticed something out of the corner of my eye, and my heart sank. Night 3 continued. To the right of the door, I noticed something that I had somehow missed the past few days. There was a second doorbell, one by the back door. Why the hell would there also be a bell back here? Did I really miss this the whole time I have been here?
Yeah.
But here it was. I have it pictured above. I clicked it once, and sure enough, I heard a single chime. The exact same chime I've been hearing the past 2 nights. The backyard is completely shut off, and though it's possible to hop a fence and get back there, the dogs would have surely heard someone try to trespass. But then again, they had been acting strange, and not barking to the back bell for some reason. Even stranger, when I tested the back bell, the dogs came barking and ran to the back door not knowing who was there. So why did they act differently before? I quickly got inside and locked the doors, and went around checking every room just in case somebody was already in there with me. I also locked every window and door to the outside. I brought all the dogs with me to the room I was staying in, and just sat there for a while, trying to make sense of everything. I turned on the TV for a little while, and tried to wipe it all from my mind. Before I knew it, it was midnight once again. Night 3 continued. I hadn't been keeping track of the time as I watched TV, but I was quickly reminded of the time when I heard the single chime of the bell at a few minutes past midnight. It caught me by surprise, and as I jumped up, I noticed all the dogs walking to the back door. I followed them cautiously, and slowly crept to look out the back window. There was nothing there. Of course. At this point, I was actually hoping to see someone or something instead of being in constant fear of what it could actually be. I turned on the back light and scanned the backyard, but I still had the good sense to stay in the kitchen. Then I saw the garage door I spoke of earlier. It was wide open, as if inviting me to come see what was within. I've seen plenty of horror movies in my day, so I was smart enough to stay within the house. Since it was already cracked earlier, I told myself the wind did it, and maybe the bell was just on the fritz, ringing at the same time every night until I see what is wrong. Yeah, it's totally just a glitch. I went back to my room and closed the door, trapping the dogs.
And it never gets resolved. It never fucking gets resolved. By far one of the worst episodes. But like, if you're like me and you're wondering, like, what the fuck's going on? Oh, look how low res I am. That's just wonderful. That's just wonderful. I guess, you know, in low light conditions, you look like a fucking 1970s movie. And maybe you need to. Maybe sometimes you need that. My friend called me and she's going to come over. She needs somewhere to go because she got kicked out. I get so mad at this girl. She makes me so mad sometimes. Just being stupid. And I told her, I was like, you can come over. You know? What is that going to mean? I don't need it. I don't need this shit. I don't. But at the same time, I don't mind being around her. But she's made it worse for me to admit that, I guess, or something. I don't know. It's the fact that you can like somebody and how they treat you when they are trying to like somebody that doesn't like them. It's very traitorous, you know. Like, you know, you can be good for somebody, or good to somebody, or good, period, when people that you're good to, like women, uh, they either take that the wrong way, or they really do have some sort of mind problem and want somebody to treat them like shit. I don't have time to treat nobody like shit. I don't. I don't have time for that. It takes too much energy. If I have to be that way, I get aggravated really fast. I'll be like, I'm not gonna do this. You just need to leave. Straight up. And I want to go to bed. I'm in my, not with her, per se, but I mean, I'm in my bed. I want to be able to sleep. And now I've got to entertain somebody that's supposed to be here in 20 minutes. Or before 10. Or who actually, that probably doesn't even matter. Because they can't fucking do anything to their word. It's like, I feel like I have to audit myself because I said it. Because if I said, she told that to me, I didn't even tell the roommate she's coming over. Because then she won't. You know? It's like, I try to be a man of my word. And I'm struggling in my own life. The last thing I need is somebody I can't count on. Or if I do try to, I'll just fall through the floor. You know what I mean? And that's what it feels like. So, I guess wish me luck.